Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Dear Dhamma friends, this is the full moon day Dhamma talk series conducted by International Institute of Theravada. So today we are going to focus on another sutta, another discourse in Majjhima Nikaya. I chose the discourse named Sela Sutta, which is the 92nd discourse in Majjhima Nikaya for today's Dhamma talk. Sela Sutta. So this is also in the second part of Majjhima Nikaya, which is the Majjhima Pannasaka. Majjhima Pannasaka. So the Buddha was once wandering in the part of India, which is called as Anguttarapa, and he arrived at a town named Apana. Apana. So he was residing there, and one ascetic called Kenya heard that the Buddha has arrived in that at the town that he was staying. He was spending time. So this Kenya was a matted hair ascetic. We call in Pali as Jatila. Jatila. His hair was matted, and that Kenya Jatila heard that the Buddha has arrived at his town. And then he approached to the Buddha and he paid his homage. And the Buddha had some conversation with him. The Buddha inspired the ascetic Kenya with a Dhamma talk. And at the end of the Dhamma talk, the ascetic Kenya invited the Buddha for the next day's meal. He wanted to offer a meal for the Buddha. But the Buddha did not accept at once because there was a lot of monks with him. There were 1,250 monks with him at that day. So the Buddha informed the ascetic Kenya that there are many monks with him, and it is not easy for one person to offer meal for such a huge group. But the ascetic Kenya asked for the second time. Still the Buddha did not accept, and he asked again for the third time. And at that time, the Buddha remained silent and accepted the dana offering of the ascetic Kenya by silence. Then the ascetic Kenya Jatila, went to his hermitage and informed his friends, relatives, and neighbors and everyone that the Lord Buddha was invited by him for the next day's dana, next day's meal. And all of them together were preparing for the dana. And at that time, the ascetic Kenya was a disciple of the Brahmin called as Sela. He was a devotee of Brahmin Sela. So Brahmin Sela was also spending his time at the same town those days. So the Brahmin Sela was a well-educated Brahmin. He has learned all three Vedas, and he had 300 students who were learning the three Vedas under him. So he was a well-known teacher with a very good reputation those days, Brahmin sailor. So Brahmin sailor was going for a walk, and he saw that Kenya Jatila, the ascetic Kenya, was preparing for a huge ceremony or something. So he approached the Kenya Jatila and asked whether he was preparing for the marriage of his son or daughter, or preparing for what? Preparing for a sacrifice, or whether the king was invited by him for the meal. So the Kenya Jatila replied him, no, he was not preparing for the marriage of his son or daughter, and he was not preparing for a meal for the king, but he was indeed preparing for a sacrifice. So what was that sacrifice? A huge sacrifice for the Lord Buddha. The Lord Buddha was invited by, he replied, the Lord Buddha, the ascetic Gautama, by his own words. They call the Buddha as ascetic Gautama, Samana Gautama. That's how they called the Buddha. So the ascetic Gautama was invited by me, and we are going to make a huge sacrifice. We are going to offer dana to the Lord Buddha and the huge group of mendicants, the followers of Lord Buddha. And he further said that the Lord Buddha has a very good reputation. We have heard a lot about Lord Buddha. He is famous, he is well known as having 9 great qualities. Arahang, he is perfected. Samma Sambuddho, he is the full awakened Buddha. Vijjacharana Sampanno, he is accomplished by knowledge as well as conduct. Sugato, he is holy. Lokavidu, he is the knower of the world. Anuttaro Purisa Dhammasarathi, he is the supreme guide for anyone who wishes to train himself or herself. Sattha Deva Manussanang, he is the teacher of gods and humans. Buddho, he is awakened. Bhagava, he is blessed. So this good reputation is heard by me about Lord Buddha. So the Brahmin sailor was surprised by listening to this information, because he had learned about the awakened one in his Veda studies, because those days in the Vedas there were some teachings, there were some parts of Veda that taught about someone called Buddha. There were the characteristics of Buddha, the physical characteristics and his other virtues, but they had never met that Buddha. Their teachers or them, their teachers or they had never met such a person, but information about the Buddha were found in their scriptures. So after listening to this information, listening to this all these qualities told by ascetic Kenya, the Brahmin sailor was amazed, he was surprised, and he asked, did you say the awakened one? And then the Kenya replied, yes, I said the awakened one. And then the sailor was still doubtful, and he asked for the second time, did you say the awakened one? Yes, I said the awakened one. And then he asked whether where at that time was the Buddha, the awakened one, was residing. The Kenya, ascetic Kenya replied, he was residing in the forest nearby. Then the sailor, Brahmin sailor, together with his 300 students, approached the Buddha, and he paid respect to the Buddha, but still he was doubtful. He was not convinced by the words of the ascetic Kenya. He was still doubtful, but he had this knowledge about such a person, learned from the Veda scriptures. He sat aside and he was observing the physical qualities of the Lord Buddha, because in Veda it was mentioned that the person who becomes the Buddha, the person who becomes the awakened one, possesses these 32 physical qualities which we call as Mahapurisa Lakkhana. Mahapurisa Lakkhana, the characteristics of or marks of a great person. So these 32 characteristics were there in the Veda scriptures. So he was observing these characteristics, and he could observe most of those characteristics. And the Buddha knew that the Brahmin sailor was still skeptical, still doubtful about the Buddhahood of the Buddha. And he was waiting for a word from the Brahmin sailor. So Brahmin sailor was still thinking, was still trying to be convinced. He was still trying to confirm whether this person is a true Buddha, as mentioned in his Veda scriptures. So he thought that all of the characteristics, all of the marks of a great man, Mahapurisa Lakkhana, that are found in the Veda scriptures are seen in this person. All the marks, all the characteristics, all the physical characteristics are seen in this person, but still I am doubtful. Still I am doubtful. So I should talk with this person. I should directly ask this person whether he is the true awakened one, whether he is really awakened. So nowadays also people tend to be doubtful about these things. People can tend to be skeptical whether there was really such a person called as Buddha, or whether the Buddha was really awakened. Was he really, could he really know everything as mentioned in the scriptures? So people tend to doubt like this. So that is not limited to the modern world. In the Buddha's time also there were such people who doubted about the Buddhahood of him. So Brahmin Sela is one of them. And he further thought, he was further thinking silently. My teachers, my seniors have taught me that a real Buddha will accept about his Buddhahood, or reveal about his Buddhahood when he is praised. When someone praised the physical and mental qualities, virtues of the Buddha, and ask directly whether he was Buddha or not, the Buddhas, the awakened one, tends to reveal his true nature. So he had learned this from his teachers. So he decided to directly praise the Buddha and asked the Buddha whether he was the true awakened one, whether he was the true Buddha. And then comes the conversation between the Brahmin sela and the Buddha. So we are going to read today that conversation. There is not a lot to, there are no deep concepts in this sutta to discuss, but the conversation between the Brahmin sela and the Lord Buddha is very nice. So we are going to read that conversation today in our Dhamma talk. So this Brahmin sela starts to praise the Buddha by a verse. Paripunnakayo suruchi sujato charu dassano suvanna vannosi bhagava susukkadatosi viryava. Bhagava, O Blessed One. Paripunnakayo, your body is perfect. Suruchi, you are radiant. That means your body is glowing. Sujato, you are handsome. Charu dassano, you are lovely to behold. That means it's very lovely to look at your physical appearance. Suvanna vannosi, you are golden colored. Susukkadatosi, your teeth are so white. Viryava, you are strong. So this is the first verse by which the Brahmin sela praised the Buddha. And he further praised the Buddha by another verse. Narassa hi sujatas ye bhavanti vyanjana sabbe te tava kayasming mahapurisa lakkhana. Ye bhavanti vyanjana. Vyanjana means the characteristics or marks. Vyanjana, the characteristics of a handsome man. Sujatas, narassa sujatas, of a handsome man. Sabbe te tavakayasming mahapurisa lakkhana. The marks of a great man, mahapurisa lakkhana, are all found on your body. All the mahapurisa lakkhana, the characteristics or marks of a great man can be found on your body. Kalyana dassano bhikkhu kanchana sannibhat tacho kingte samana bhavena evang uttama vannino. Kalyana dassano bhikkhu, you are a mendicant, fine to see. Kalyana dassano, fine to see, very nice to see. Kanchana sannibhat tacho, with skin of golden sheen. Kanchana sannibha, tacha means skin. Kanchana sannibha, skin of golden sheen. Kingte samana bhavena evang uttama vannino. But with such excellent appearance, having such an excellent appearance, what do you want with the ascetic life? Why do you stay as an ascetic with such an excellent physical appearance? So why does he ask something like this? Because they had the Brahmin sela had learned in the Veda scriptures that a person with 32 marks of a great man, Mahapurisa Lakkhana, a person with these 32 marks, if he stay in the lay life without spending time as an ascetic, then he can become the king of kings. That means he can become a great king, which we called in the scriptures as Chakravarti. Chakravarti is the king of all the kings in India. So if a person with 32 great marks of Mahapurisa stays his life as a lay person, spend his time as in lay life, then he can become the king of kings. And if he comes to the robe, if he chose the ascetic life, then he becomes the awakened one, the Buddha. So he had learned this, and he asked from the Buddha, having such excellent appearance, having all these physical qualities, why do you stay as an ascetic? You can just go to the lay life and become the king of kings. Raja arahasi bhavitung chakkavatti rathe sabho chaturanto vijitavi jambu sandas issaro. Raja arahasi bhavitung, you are fit to be a king. Chakkavatti, a wheel turning monarch. Rathe sabho, chief of charioteers. So wheel turning monarch, Chakkavatti, this is the term used in the Pali scriptures to refer to the king of all the kings. Chaturanto, Vijitavi, victorious in the four directions. Jambu Sandas Issaro, Lord of all India. So you can become the, if you disrobe or if you go to the lay life, you can be the king or the lord of all India. Then, that is, there are some other verses also, but I chose these few verses because of time limit. Then the Buddha replies to the Brahmin sailor, Raja hamasmi selati Dhamma Raja anuttaro Dhammena chakkang vattemi chakkang appativattiyang. Selati, sailor, O sailor, Raja hamasmi, I am a king. Raja ahang asmi, O sailor, O Brahmin sailor, I am a king. Dhamma Raja anuttaro, I am the supreme king of the teaching of the Dharma. Dhammena chakkang vattemi, by the teaching I roll forth the wheel. Chakkang appativattiyang, which cannot be rolled back. So Brahmin Sela is trying to convince the Buddha to, it's like he's trying to convince him to go back to the lay life and be the king of all the kings, be the lord of all India. But the Buddha replies him that he is, of course, a king. He is not the king of all India, but the king of Dharma. He is the Dhamma Raja, the king of Dharma, king of the teaching. And Dhammena chakkang vattemi, he rolls for the wheel which is called as Dhamma Chakka, the Dharma wheel. And that wheel, that Dhamma Chakka, cannot be rolled back by anyone, any god or Brahma or anyone. So in the Dhamma Chakka Sutta also, the mentioning about this Dhamma Chakka, the Dharma wheel is there. Dhamma Chakkam pavattitang appativattiyang samanenava brahmanenava, right? So the Dhamma roll is, Dhamma wheel is rolled forth by me, which can be which cannot be rolled back by any ascetic, any Brahmin, any god or any Brahma. That means the teaching uttered by Lord Buddha cannot be maken fault by anyone. That is the ultimate truth. The Dharma preached by Lord Buddha is the ultimate truth, and that cannot be rolled back, made fault, made wrong by anyone. So the Lord Buddha claims that he is a king, but a king of Dharma. Maya pavattitang chakkang dhamma chakkang anuttarang sariputto anuvatteti anujato tathagatang. Maya pavattitang chakkang, by me the wheel was rolled forth. By me, the Buddha, the Dhamma Chakka was rolled forth. Pavattitang. Dhamma chakkang anuttarang, that chakka, that wheel is the supreme wheel of teaching. Dharma Chakra. Sariputto anuvatteti anujato tathagatang. Sariputta, taking after the realized one, keeps it rolling on. So I started rolling forth the Dhamma Chakra, and after me, the Sariputta, the great disciple of me, keeps rolling the Dhamma Chakra on. Abhinyayang abhinyatang bhave tabbancha bhavitang pahatabbam pahinang me tasma buddhosmi brahmana. Abhinyayang abhinyatang, I have known what should be known. Abhinyayang, what should be known. Abhinyatang is known by me. Bhave tabbancha bhavitang, bhave tabbang, what should be developed, bhavitang, is developed by me. Pahatabbam pahinang, and given up, what should be given up. Tasma buddhosmi brahmana, and so therefore Brahmin, I am a Buddha. So abhinyayang abhinyatang, here abhinyaya refers to the truth of suffering, dukkha arya satcha, and also the truth of the cessation of suffering, the noble truth of cessation of suffering, dukkha nirodha arya satcha. So dukkha and nirodha, suffering and the cessation of suffering, is known by him himself, without learning from someone else. And bhavetabbam bhavitang, what should be developed is developed by me. So this refers to the magga satcha, the fourth noble truth, which is the path to the cessation of suffering, the noble eightfold path. So the noble eightfold path is developed by me. Pahatabbam pahinang, what should be removed or what should be given up is given up by me. So this refers to the second noble truth, which is samudaya satcha, the craving, tanha, is given up by him together with all other defilements. So because of this, because of knowing these four noble truths by himself, he is called as the Buddha. Tasma buddhosmi brahmana. Vinayassu mai kankang adhimuccassu brahmana. Dullabhang dassanang hoti sambuddhanang abhinhaso. Vinayassu mai kankang, dispel your doubt in me. Vinayassu, please dispel, please remove your kankang, doubt in me. You are still skeptical and doubtful about my Buddhahood. Dispel that doubt on me. Adhimuccassu brahmane, make up your mind, Brahmin. Make up your mind, accept that I am the true Buddha. Dullabhang dassanang hoti sambuddhanang abhinhaso. The sight of a Buddha is hard to find again. Sambuddhanang abhinhaso. The sight of Buddha is cannot frequently found in this sansara or in this world. Yassa yesang ve dullabho loke patu bhavo abhinhaso sohang brahmana sambuddho sallakatto anuttaro. I am a Buddha, Brahmin. Sohang brahmana sambuddho, Brahmin. I am a Buddha. Sallakatto anuttaro, the supreme surgeon. Sallakatto anuttaro. Sallakatta means a surgeon, a doctor. So a Buddha is just like a doctor, treating for a patient having a physical pain, physical sickness. The Buddha treats all the physical and mental sicknesses of the beings. So he is the supreme surgeon, the surgeon of all the surgeons. Yesang ve dullabho loke patu bhavo abhinhaso. One of those whose appearance in the world is hard to find again, because it takes hundreds of thousands of years or world cycles for one Buddha to appear in the world. So it is very hard to find a Buddha in the sansara, in the world. And when this is said, when Buddha told about himself, when Buddha revealed about his Buddhahood openly, the Brahmin sela was convinced. He accepted that this person is the Buddha, and he requested the ordination as a monk under the Buddha, in the dispensation of Buddha, in the Buddha Sasana, together with all his disciples, together with the 300 disciples. And when he requested the monkhood, the Buddha uttered this verse, which is Swakhatam Brahmacharyang Sandittika Makalikang Yatta Amogha Pabbajja Appamattasya Sikkhato. Swakhatam Brahmacharyang. Brahmacharyang, the spiritual life, is Swakhatam, well explained. The spiritual life is well explained. Sandittika Makalikang, Sandittikang, visible in this very life. The spiritual life, the Brahmacharya is visible in this very life. The Brahmacharya, which means the spiritual life, and the fruit, the effects, the benefits of the spiritual life, both are visible in this very life. You don't have to wait until the next life to see the spirituality or the fruit of spirituality. Akalikang, immediately effective. This spiritual life explained or presented by the Buddha to the world is immediately effective. You can experience the fruit, the effects of this spiritual life immediately. Yatta amogha pabbajja, here the going forth isn't in vain. The going forth means coming to the robe, coming to the monkhood in this Buddha Sasana is not in vain. Appamattasya sikkhato, for the one who trains with diligence. Appamattasya, the person who is diligent. Sikkhato, the one who trains. So for the one who trains with diligence, this Buddha Sasana, being a monk in this Buddha Sasana is not in vain, because he can see the spirituality within him and the fruits of spirituality within him in this very life, and he can experience and enjoy that calmness and that spiritual happiness in this very life. He does not have to wait until the next life to experience that calmness and happiness. So this is how the Buddha offered the monkhood to the Brahmin Sela and his group of his disciples. So all of them became monks in the Sasana, in the Buddha Sasana, and soon they all meditated, they all contemplated on Nama and Rupa, they did Vipassana meditation practice for some time, and all of them became arahants, and they came back to the Buddha and they paid their respect to the Buddha and they claimed their arahantship in front of the Buddha. So that is the end of Sela Sutta. So this is a very good sutta to improve your confidence on Buddha, because not only in modern world but those days also, when the Buddha was alive, there were people who were skeptical, who were doubtful about the Buddhahood, about the qualities, virtues of Buddha, but still those people also were convinced at the end, and they also could attain the arahantship in the Sasana. So I hope you enjoy the Dhamma talk. I hope you learn something from the Dhamma talk. There are no, as I mentioned earlier, special points or special concepts to discuss in this sutta. Of course, we can discuss about every and each word for hours, but I mean this sutta is mainly about the story, very interesting story about the Sela Brahmin. So try to make a note if you are free to do so, and try to think what you can learn from this sutta and what you can absorb from this sutta to your life. And you can also give a try to memorize 1 or 2 verses in this sutta, and then you will be really happy and confident about the knowledge on Sela Sutta. So let's conclude the Dhamma talk by reciting Buddha Sasanam Chirantittatu, all the merits accumulated by all of us by discussing this great discourse in the Majjhima Nikaya and learning and reading this Sela Sutta lead us to the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Buddha Sasanam Chirantittatu, Buddha Sasanam Chirantittatu, Buddha Sasanam Chirantittatu, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.